I can only wonder what this has all been like for you, but I'm going to begin with the moment we all went through today, and we all had some reaction to today, when we heard this verdict. Where were you, and how did you hear this verdict?
I was doing errands today, having thought we would not have a verdict today, Lawrence, and thank you for having me. When I got a text from a lawyer saying verdict in 15 minutes, and I hightailed it to my lawyer's office, and I was in a conference room with the lawyers who helped me out when I watched it on MSNBC.
And what did you feel when this verdict came back?
I was actually terrified in the few minutes waiting for it. And when I heard the first no, I panicked and thought it wasn't going to be favorable for E. Jean. But of course, we found out that it was. And I could not be happier or prouder of my friend.
Have you been able to talk to E. Jean today?
Yes. And by the way, she sends you her regards and her respect. And I have toasted her with a glass of rosé, and I think she's thrilled. I think she may be a little stunned still. This all happened much faster in a way. 4 years or more than 4 years of waiting for this day, waiting for her day in court, watching as Donald Trump stalled, delayed, used the cheapest of all tactics to delay this decision. And wow, it's dramatic.
I discovered in studying your testimony today that I guess I've actually known E. Jean Carroll a few years longer than you have, but you know her much better than I do and have been much closer to her over the years. I knew her back in the day when she was married to John Johnson, and that photograph was shown to Donald Trump of John Johnson, her husband, who was then a local TV correspondent, and E. Jean. Right. And in the deposition, Donald Trump very dramatically mistakes E. Jean Carroll for Donald Trump's second wife, Marla Maples, who I don't think he was even yet married to at that time, because his first wife is in the picture with him. And so he's looking at a picture that includes his first wife and E. Jean Carroll, and he thinks that right there over his shoulder, he thinks that he's standing there with his first wife, laughing it up with John Johnson, the TV correspondent, and E. Jean Carroll, but he thinks that's Marla Maples, the woman he's going to make his second wife. What was your reaction to that part of Donald Trump's testimony?
That was the most incredible moment of all, in a way. I mean, he didn't even say that, oh, it looks familiar, or I mean, he said, that's my wife, Marla, but he's standing with his wife, Ivana, as you said. And also, that one photograph of the two couples together has been shown and shown and shown and shown for the last year at least, if not more. How could he be so dumb? And then, of course, he said it was blurry, but obviously, what a slip. And the point is that E. Jean Carroll was Donald Trump's type then. She would be his type now, I suppose, although he's not her type. And it was crazy. It was a confession in a way.
It was, absolutely. And then there's also the Trump confession via the Access Hollywood video that was brought into the trial. And Donald Trump had that remarkable moment in defending what he said in the Access Hollywood trial, where he says, yes, men have always had the right to do this. Famous men have always had the right to do this to women. And apparently his reading of history goes back 1 million years, I believe he said. They have the right to do that. And he described that right and that right women, that men like him have to abuse women as something that was either fortunately or unfortunately for women. He wasn't sure whether that was fortunate for women or unfortunate for women.
Well, it's like the way he plays both sides, good people on both sides or fine people on both sides. I mean, the idea that he didn't disabuse E. Jean's lawyer, Robbie Kaplan, of that. Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, the way it was his MO. And by the way, E. Jean's lawyers did a brilliant job by also providing two other women who had been harassed and groped by Donald Trump. And the way his Trump method, maybe that's patented, is to harass women in public in a way where, or in a place where they're not going to scream because they're not going to be comfortable screaming, and gets away with it until now.
Lisa, how would you describe the experience and/or ordeal, if we might think of it that way, of testifying on the witness stand in a federal lawsuit like this and being cross-examined the way you were being cross-examined?
Well, honestly, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It's very daunting. The process is very hard. I have to be, in particular, you know me a little bit, careful of not saying too much, which I often do. And you have to be very, very clear. The thing that was really scary was the cross-examination. And I had been working on that. I think my great lawyers, Andy Celli, Jonathan Abedy, and Sarah Estrella, really prepared me so that the prep was worse than the actual cross-examination. However, I was not prepared to be shredded to smithereens by Joe Tacopina yesterday during his final arguments, in which he called E. Jean, Carol Martin, and me conspirators, co-conspirators, liars. I mean, he really raked us through the coals, suggesting that we came up with a plan based on a Law and Order episode to bring down Donald Trump. I think we could have done better if we really had wanted to do that.
And then how did it feel after going through the cross-examination, then hearing what the Trump lawyer said about you in the final argument of the case? What did it feel when you got the knowledge today that the jury believed everything you told them?
It's incredible. It's incredible validation, incredible vindication. Every Asian. It's good, Asians. I feel wonderful. It's been a long road, and make no mistake, for the last year or so, when I was deposed by a previous legal team of Donald Trump's, it has been a weight on my neck and back like no other. I really never thought this day would happen. It just seemed to go on and on. But telling the truth is a very freeing and fortunate position to be in. And being a good friend is a very fortunate and good position to be in. And so right now I feel very good.
You know, knowing you both, I'm so very glad that E. Jean Carroll had you to call, and she did call you 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes after that happened. Take yourself back to that phone call. Go ahead.
No, it's funny because there are things I don't remember, like what I had for dinner yesterday, but there are parts of that phone call that I took on my wireless landline phone on 93rd Street that spring day that I will never forget. I mean, not only was I giving my children their usual chicken nugget dinner on Power Ranger plates, but I just remember her not knowing what to think. And then, as I said to the lawyers in court, when she described his penetrating her, I said, "E. Jean, you've been raped." And I stepped outside the kitchen because I didn't want my kids to hear it. Oh, I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old didn't know what that meant, nor my 6-year-old, but still, it was just so shocking. "He raped you, E. Jean. You should go to the police." And that was horrible. She was ashamed. And the word rape just had a very bad feeling for her. I mean, who wouldn't? But it was worse than maybe somebody of my generation. She's enough older that being a victim of rape, and she's not a victim type, was just beyond what she could deal with at that time.
Well, yeah, and what I discovered in my interview with her about this on this program was that she still was resisting the word rape and didn't want to apply it to her experience. And the Trump lawyers used some of that interview in their argument in court. We're just going to listen to the part that the Trump lawyers used in court.
Right.
Would you consider bringing a rape charge against Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border, who are being raped around the clock down there without any protection. They're young women. They've, tried to come into the country. They're, as you know, they're there by the thousand. The women have very little protection there. It would just be disrespectful.
Lisa, when she was telling me that, it was one of those moments on this program that I've had more than once where it's, I know this person, and let me just explain to you, audience, why she's saying this way. What was your reaction when you heard her say that? I'm sure you did on this program, and the way over the years up until this trial, she had been kind of just pushing herself away from the word rape in this story.
To me, it's all about a woman who grew up in a small town in Indiana in the 40s. I think there was a curse around the word rape. A victim of rape was what I think was called damaged goods. I think that was sort of the way it was thought of. And it was actually, I think, a struggle for her to admit that she was raped. I think part of it is because of the victimization that goes along with it. Also because, like many women of her generation and my generation, we think we were the cause of it. We did something that elicited this aggressive behavior, and it was our fault.
So the jury didn't agree to bring back a verdict on the rape, and partially because of statements like that, because there wasn't a solid, clear consistency, just literally on the use of that word over the years. So I can understand how the jury just pulled back from that. But what they did find was that Donald Trump did sexually assault E. Jean Carroll, specifically where she said that happened in the dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman. They found that it caused her physical pain. That's in their verdict. That's what they said. They awarded $2 million for that. And Donald Trump said none of it ever happened. None of it, zero, none of it. And so that jury believed the testimony offered by E. Jean Carroll, supported by you, about exactly what happened in the encounter in Bergdorf's, where it ended up in the dressing room, and that the assault took place precisely the way Donald Trump describes his favorite style of assault on the Access Hollywood video. And
yes.
When you were on the witness stand, did you feel that jury, could you feel, I know most of the time witnesses can't, but could you in any way feel whether that jury was with you or against you?
I couldn't. And that was driving me crazy There were 9 jurors. I tried hard not to look at them or smile or wink or wave. I couldn't tell. There was one juror who seemed a little bit sort of smirky, but I didn't see what went before or went after. Your viewers should know that I was not allowed to be in the courtroom until I testified. I was not allowed to be in the courtroom after I testified. And I wasn't allowed to read or watch news of the trial. So everything, it was as if I had been in a soundproof booth for a few days by the time I went in. So there was this one juror who just seemed to have an odd affect. I could not tell. I felt scared.
Mm-hmm. You are both, E. Jean Carroll and you are both have a history anyway of being humor writers. Not everything you've written has been designed to be funny. But you are both very clever people and you're both witty conversationalists and you find the joke irresistible if it's 2 or 3 words away and always want to reach for it. And I can imagine trying to enforce that somber discipline on you of the witness stand testimony had to have felt like the strictest lock that you'd ever been in verbally.
100%. I felt like I was at a nightclub and I wasn't allowed, or I had a microphone and I couldn't have fun with it. It was tough. Luckily, the room is so intimidating. And the courtroom, the Kimballwood courtroom, is so large that it felt, I didn't feel I was going to do shtick or anything. Quite to the contrary, I was scared to breathe.
And I did find the Trump lawyers were picking at that in both your verbal style and E. Jean Carroll's verbal style in the way you communicate with each other about, why would you say that odd piece here? And I was just always reading those things going, because it's funny and because she doesn't mean that way. And it's like those of us who know you both could easily translate exactly what you meant, but they were trying to make it sound to this jury like alien speech.
Well, also, I wasn't aware, maybe very naively, I wasn't aware at first that they were going to pull out or subpoena all my tweets, all my Facebook posts, and all of my podcasts. And I felt free to say how I felt about Donald Trump, the president, on every episode. And I was no fan of Donald Trump's, and I never was. And of course, when he rapes your best friend, it makes it hard for you to be a fan, and it makes it hard for you to want to vote for him. But beyond that, as they tried to use my words against me, the idea that they were presenting to the jury was, I hated him so much that I would do anything to bring him down. But of course, 2 things can be true at the same time. I loathe him. Yes, I do. But do I tell the truth? Yes, I do. And when a friend tells you a secret and says, swear to me, you will never bring this up again, and you will never tell another soul, that's an easy promise for me to make.